The draft room lights at Chase Center feel heavier tonight, as if every bulb is pulsing in sync with the tension running through Dub Nation's veins. And every whispered conversation in the corridors carries the weight of decisions that could define not just the season, but the identity of this franchise for years to come. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Jonathan Kuminga, the 6'8" power forward, once anointed as the face of Golden State's next chapter, now stands at the edge of a cliff he never thought he'd approach this soon. His restricted free agency has stretched deep into the summer, a purgatory shared with peers like Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas, all trapped in a league landscape where only Brooklyn has meaningful cap room, and the rest of the NBA operates under the suffocating gravity of matching rights. For Kuminga, the bottleneck is more than financial, it's personal. Inside the Warriors' hierarchy, his place is precarious, shadowed by the living legends of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. And the trust from Steve Kerr? That's been eroded, piece by piece, each time Kuminga holds on to the ball a beat too long or bricks an open three, stalling the machine-like rhythm that once defined the Warriors' offense. But here's where the pulse spikes, because now, out of nowhere, comes the bold, under-the-radar trade pitch from Thomas Corelli at Fantasy Sports on SI. A proposal that could detonate across the Western Conference. Kuminga, via sign-and-trade. To the Utah Jazz. Not the Lakers. Not the Suns. Not even an Eastern powerhouse, but Utah. A franchise maroon in a deliberate rebuild, far from the playoff spotlight, where the runway is long, the expectations low, and the potential for Kuminga's personal reinvention is as vast as the Salt Lake horizon. In return, Golden State would net Georges Niang, an unflashy yet reliable stretch four on an $8.8 million expiring deal, plus 2 first-round picks of 2027 via Minnesota and Utah's own 2028, packaged thick with long-term flexibility in a cap era where draft adds can be either the seeds of a future core or the currency for the next big swing. And that's where the front office chess game turns fascinating. Do the Warriors trade a still malleable 21-year-old for spacing, financial breathing room, and future leverage, knowing full well they could be sending him to a low-pressure environment perfect for him to blossom? Or does the fear of watching him explode into an all-star in another uniform outweigh the calculated benefits of the deal? This isn't just a personnel move. It's a philosophical shift. It asks whether the franchise still believes in grooming the next wave of talent alongside Curry's twilight years, or if the mission has pivoted fully to win-now urgency, maximizing what's left of the dynasty's core by surrounding them with veterans who can deliver under playoff fire. And somewhere in that tension, the ghosts of "we believe" still whisper. Because for all the champagne-soaked parades and 73-9 dominance, this franchise has known the sting of letting go too soon. Remember Monta Ellis, beloved until the day the franchise chose to bet on a then unproven Curry. Remember how trading Harrison Barnes after 2016 shaped the Durant years. Every fork in the road carries a shadow. And yet, this deal has a twist the box scores can't capture. It could be the canary in the coal mine for a larger recalibration, a signal that even the most promising young assets aren't untouchable if the right offer and the right timeline emerges. Dub Nation is split. Some see it as a chance to shed the uncertainty, to retool with players who fit Kerr's system and give Curry, Butler, and Green a cleaner shot at one more ring. Others see it as the first domino in a slow dismantling, where youth and potential are sacrificed on the altar of short-term gains, leaving the cupboard bare when the veterans finally step off the stage. And then there's Kuminga himself, a player whose highlight reels burst with skywalking dunks and flashes of two-way brilliance, yet whose inconsistency has kept him tethered to the bench in moments that matter most. In Utah, he could run free, lead fast breaks, attack mismatches, and learn through mistakes without every misstep amplified by championship expectations. In Golden State, every possession is a referendum. Every defensive lapse, every missed rotation, every stalled offensive set is magnified under the harsh lights of a fan base that's tasted perfection and demands nothing less. And so, as the trade chatter grows louder, the emotional stakes climb with it. We're not just talking about roster construction here, we're talking about identity, about the soul of a dynasty that's already had to reinvent itself more than once. Could sending Kuminga to Utah be the ignition point for a retooled title push, with Niang stretching the floor and those picks setting up a blockbuster move down the line? Or is it the crack in the foundation, the moment we look back on as the day the future slipped away, just as the present began to fade? As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, and I can't help but wonder which side of history this move will land us on. If you're feeling the fire in your chest right now, that tight knot of disbelief tangled with raging hope, that electric pulse that makes your fingers twitch because you have to say something, shout it loud in the comments, because this isn't just a story, it's our story. A live wire snaking under the hardwood floors of Chase Center and into every heartbeat of Dub Nation. The Kuminga saga, once just a whisper between possessions on the Warriors broadcast, has detonated into something seismic, like the shock wave after a thunderous dunk that rattles the rim or the piercing shrill of a ref's whistle in the dying seconds of the fourth. Can you even wrap your mind around what's brewing here? We're not staring at some minor roster tweak. We're staring down the barrel of a tectonic shift that could redefine how Golden State navigates this twilight chapter of its dynasty. And Kuminga's dissatisfaction? That's not just about minutes or touches. It's the surface crack of a deeper fault line, a living metaphor for the generational transition we've been tiptoeing around since the day Kevin Durant walked out the door. Since rookies like Moody and Kuminga began clawing at roles in a hierarchy carved in granite by living legends whose shadows stretch so long they choke the light from the next wave of hopefuls. Steph Curry still the unstoppable chef, still. Crafting symphonies from 30 feet isn't just chasing records now. You can see it in his eyes during those huddles, in the way he exhales after a dagger three. He's battling father time, knowing that every shot made, every win banked, is another coin flipped in the gamble between legacy and longevity. And Draymond, our fire, our edge, our heartbeat, remains a relentless defensive demigod and vocal hammer. But that flame, once purely fuel, sometimes now sparks dangerously close to kindling discord, especially as he juggles the impossible task of mentoring the young guns while defending the old. Guard sanctity, Doc. Then there's the curveball that nobody in Dub Nation saw coming. Jimmy Butler, a veteran with his own gravitational pull. His arrival shifts the locker room's chemical equation in ways no analytics model can chart. His presence intensifies everything: expectations, urgency, the quiet politics of who gets the ball, and when. And into this volatile mix comes the rumor, no. The proposal is sign and trade that ships Kuminga to Utah, a franchise in the slow churn of a rebuild, far from the blinding pressure of Bay Area expectations. On paper, it's neat. Golden State would snag Georgia's Niang, a cost-effective stretch four who can space the floor immediately, plus 2 future first-rounders to rearm the arsenal for another big swing down the road. But if you're hearing this and not feeling that cold prickle at the base of your neck, you're missing the bigger picture. Because what does this deal really say about where we're headed? Is this the quiet confession that the Warriors' core are all-time greats, can or won't cede the reins soon enough to let the next generation lead? Is it a strategic pivot or the first shovel of dirt in the slow burial of what's left of the dynasty's identity? Picture the scene behind closed doors. Steve Kerr, the master tactician and unshakable calm, trying to balance on a knife's edge between cultivating Kuminga into a reliable two-way weapon and steering a roster built to win now, not later. Can he truly afford the growing pains when every game could be the swing between home court advantage and a first-round exit? And if Kuminga's gone, what message does that send to every young player eyeing Golden State as the place to grow? Into a star? Is this still the franchise that could turn an unheralded rookie into the next big thing? Or are we cementing ourselves as a veterans-only club until the last drop of Curry's prime is spent? Imagine the next locker room cutaway the cameras give us. Steph leaning over the whiteboard, mapping plays with surgical precision. Draymond pacing like a caged tiger, his words sharp and urgent. Moody silently pushing through drills with a chip. On his shoulder, and Kuminga, gone. Sitting in some Salt Lake gym, running drills in a Jazz jersey, eyes fixed on the thought of proving them wrong. That's the split-screen reality we could be living. And it's not just basketball. It's identity. It's legacy. It's the brutal truth about passing the torch. When the flame burns so hot it blinds those holding it, this isn't hypothetical drama. It's raw, palpable tension, seeping into every timeout, every film session, every long flight home after. A loss that feels like it meant more than it should. It's also the reminder that dynasties don't end with a bang, they fade. Choice by choice, trade by trade, until one day you wake up and the banners are just dusted relics, not living, breathing ambitions. The heartbeat of Dub Nation right now is raw, restless, and loud demanding answers. Hungry for clarity, unwilling to settle for mediocrity in a league that will eat you alive if you hesitate. And maybe that's the crux of it. Do we believe this front office can thread the needle again like they did in 2022, blending youth and experience into something unstoppable? Or are we bracing for a misstep so big it knocks us off the tightrope for good? As someone who's bled blue and gold through every heart-stopping buzzer beater, every parade that felt like the whole bay was vibrating in unison, every gut punch, loss that stayed with me like a bruise on the soul, I can feel the shift in the air. This isn't just about Kuminga, it's about the soul of the franchise. It's about whether we're brave enough to embrace change without erasing what made us great, whether we can dream big without clinging desperately to the past. So now I'm tossing the rock to you. Dub Nation, drop your rawest takes, your fiercest hopes, your ugliest fears in the comments. No edits, no filters, no hesitation. Because this moment, this swirling storm of trade rumors, fading legends, and hungry young blood is exactly what it means to be a fan. To feel every high, every low, every twist in the plot like it's written just for us. And when the dust settles, whether Kuminga's still rocking our jersey or flying high in Utah, I'll be right there in the trenches with you, fighting through the noise, receipts in hand, ready to ride or die on whatever comes next.